Casinos are a very strategic and diabolical political scheme to intensify gentrification. What do I mean by that? It is very difficult for a lot of hopeless people to not entertain the thought that I could get rich overnight with a lucky draw, a lucky roll of the dice, a lucky pull of the slot machine, you see. So the reason you find casinos next to poverty is because people who are impoverished are so desperate to get out of poverty that they will gamble away their week's salary. They will gamble away their title on their home. They will gamble away the note on their automobile in an attempt to make enough money to alleviate the stress and pain that comes with poverty. Because people often ask me, why do they put casinos next to impoverished neighborhoods? To intensify the gentrification. Because if you cannot control your gambling habit, sooner or later, you're going to lose your job and lose your house. So the casino is just another strategy that they use to get rid of black people.
Wow, I've never thought of it that way. And I always thought it was to attract other ethnicities and other groups and push us out, but I never thought
it serves both purposes.
Yeah, okay.
See, the way gentrification works, the strategy and the protocol is you do a casino, you do a Walmart, you do a movie theater, right? And you also do some new university buildings. And you also do a charter school. Okay, a lot of black people fail to recognize charter schools also play a role in gentrification. The strategy is real simple. Get a black person to front the white charter school movement. The black person gets all the parents involved. Nobody's going to ask what color the teachers are. So that charter school is going to be 90% white administration staff and faculty. Those white people who are working at this charter school in the ghetto are going to buy up all the properties, all the abandoned lots, all the available real estate. And within 10 years after they opened up the black charter school, there won't be no black people around to attend the charter school. So the charter school naturally evolves into a white charter school. One of the best ways to get rid of black people is to open up a charter school. Why? Because most people don't feel comfortable opposing educational expansion. So if I say this is a university doing this, if I say this charter school is coming in support of giving black children another alternative to learn, who's going to go against a new school for black kids? So the way you get into the ghetto and take it over is you use the charter school as your way in. Okay? Behold what they say, the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
The charter school is the Trojan horse that you put in the ghetto because no black parent is going to oppose their white child's teacher living next door, the principal's around the corner, the science teacher's down the street. I love this school. All of my child's teachers live in our neighborhood. This is a good thing, but you don't know that they're only there as agents of gentrification.
Well, I never thought of it that way, but it always did have like a private entity.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Private entities are behind the charter school movement. And that's not to criminalize the charter school movement, because I know a lot of black people who have charter schools who have done great jobs with them. So I want to be clear about that. But that does not mean that the charter school movement itself was ever created to help black people. So right now, there's a black charter school in Chicago. They just left their charter, lost their charter. Their test scores are high, but they accuse the administration of financial mismanagement. Because whenever you want to shut down a black charter school, you either say the test scores are too low, you're mismanaging money, or you ain't got enough white folks who work there. And in this particular charter school in Chicago, most of the staff and faculty were black, as they should be, because the students are black. But under white racist philosophy, even if all your students are black, you're supposed to guarantee a certain number of white folks. But if you go to some of these white charter schools, you don't see no black people working in them, but nobody takes their charter away. A lot of people question, why did you go independent? Isn't it harder to do an independent school? No grants, no federal money. Why did you do that? Because I'm a former charter school principal, and I'm a former charter school vice principal. And I see the hoops that they make black administrators go through in order to keep them charters. And as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to be doing that. See, the original movement for the black community was community control of the public school. We were never into the charter school thing because they weren't around yet. Charter schools pop up in 1990. In the 60s and 70s, we wanted community control. In other words, Let us choose the principal. Let us choose the teachers. You follow me? School district, you can still control the operations, but we want to control the personnel and the programs. But when the charter school movement popped up in 1990s, some thirsty black people said, you know what? If we go with the charter schools and stop talking about community control, we can write ourselves into a budget and get paid. So the reason the community control movement died and the charter school movement took over is because greedy, thirsty black people saw in the charter school movement an opportunity to put themselves on a salary. We sold out to the dollar because you don't control charter schools. Charter schools are owned by the state. A charter school, by legal definition, is an alternative public school. You don't control it. We should have never gave up community control. So, in the absence of community control, understanding that the charter school movement is a scam, we need to go back to independent schools. Black money, black children, black teachers, black school. It's the only way to do it. And when we open up, we will be the first black independent school in the 21st century in this country, in a real building, real school, not no church, no basement, no house. Right. Real school will be the first ones in the 21st century with a real school that was built exclusively with black money, and will be the first school ever in American history, the funds for which were donated from Africans all over the world. Never before done.
And before I segue into my next question, I seen some pictures on Twitter, and you began painting.
Yes, sir.
So the renovations
are just about done. Our electricians are waiting for the inspection. Our plumbers are waiting for one piece that they need for the plumbing. Our HVAC, the air is on, the heat is on. We just need controls. We passed all the other things. And be careful with Teach for America, because Teach for America is the Ku Klux Klan of education. Because what Teach for America does is they enter into contracts with predominantly black public schools, and they take all of the available slots, fill them with uncredentialed, uncertified white folks. And so now you are a 20-year math teacher, science teacher. You come back to Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, Florida, and you say, this is my neighborhood. I want to be a science teacher in my neighborhood. Right. I'm certified. I'm licensed. I got my degree. I got 20 years in. I want to teach in the schools where I grew up. You know what the principal going to tell you, the school district? Unfortunately, we can't give you the job because we signed a contract with Teach for America where they have exclusive control over who is going to occupy the available teaching spots in our schools. You see this? Wow. Now, the person teaching math don't have a math degree, is not an educator, don't have a license. They're coming over from Wall Street. They're coming over from law. They're coming over from realty. They're coming over from some other profession. And the only reason why they're there is they need to pay their bills in the suburbs.
Yeah, and I've seen that. The bar set real
So you got all these black teachers who are certified, can't get a job because Teach for America bought all the teaching spots from the school district. They are the KKK of education.
Wow, that's insane how you can do
And then they talking about low test scores for black children, low achieving black children. Well, what do you expect them to be when the classrooms are filled with white folks who don't care about the kids, are not credentialed, don't have the degrees, don't have the certification? Very few teachers in a predominantly black public school are highly qualified. Very few. Most of them are leftovers who couldn't get a job in a white suburb. Or they're in the ghetto to teach so they can get their student loans paid off by the White House. Yep. And after they get their student loans paid off by the White House, after 3 to 5 years, they disappear into the suburbs. This is why you'll see a good white teacher, and then after 5 years, you don't see them no more. And you're like, what happened to that good white teacher? They wasn't here because they cared about black kids. They was here to get their student loans paid off, and after they got them paid off, they graduated to the suburbs. You can't cancel people who are economically independent. I'm self-employed, so you can't cancel me. I don't need Sony Records. I don't need Universal. I don't need Facebook. I don't need Instagram. I'm not in need of anything white folks have, so I cannot be canceled, right? I mean, the Untouchables represent 40% of the coaches of the NBA. They were the former commissioner and the current commissioner of the NBA. They have controlled hip-hop music since its inception, and even Russell Simmons admitted to that, although he presented it a different way. Russell said that had it not been for the untouchable community, hip-hop may have never gotten off the ground because they provided the seed money. What Russell left out is the reason they provided the seed money is they saw a financial pay heyday in hip hop, and that's why they did that. They didn't do it out of the love of their hearts, because if they did, every musician who is signed to a member of the untouchable community will own their own masters, and we know that's not the case. So the untouchable community has been exploiting black artists, especially since the 1970s, which was the birth of the hip-hop community. That as much as they talk about how people have come against their community, they have come against ours. For example, who financed a great share of the slave ships that brought Africans to America? Who owned the insurance companies that financed our bodies as human cargo? Okay, the Secretary of War for the Confederacy was a member of the untouchable community and a very large slave owning person. You understand me? So when people talk about being anti this and being anti that, sometimes we need to turn the camera on the accuser and say, well, what about your record of oppression and dehumanization against other people? Black people did not participate in your Holocaust, but you participated in ours, and we can prove it. You see what I'm saying? So I just think we as black men have to be conscious that right now there is a literal campaign against First Amendment rights for heterosexual black males that seeks to bully us into remaining silent about the things that matter. Heterosexual black males with loss of job, loss of money, loss of reputation, loss of opportunity, because what America wants to do, and it ain't just the untouchables, it's the entire white supremacist power structure. They want to see if they can intimidate black men into keeping their mouths shut about the things that happen to black people. And if they succeed, if we as black men give up our right to speak truth to power, they will be able to do anything they want against black people. We must stay vocal. We need to be careful how we speak, because as you know, one of the jobs of American mainstream media as a branch of white supremacy is to misrepresent the genuine opinion